Okay, I'd like to call the City Council meeting of February 1st, 2024 to order. Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Ames.
Here.
Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Curielli.
Here.
Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here.
Alderman Sismarski. Alderman Artwoods.
Here.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Here.
Mayor, please.
Here, I declare a quorum. Please stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Need a motion to approve the minutes of January 18th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Any comments, questions, or corrections? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes. Do any citizens wish to be heard on matters not listed on the agenda? Okay, I have no written communique this evening. We do have one item, FEMA National Emergency Management Basic Academy Certificate. Deputy Chief Banazinski, I hear you're taking the lead. Come on up.
Thank you, everybody. Tonight, we have Hillary Gack receiving an award from FEMA, which is the Federal Emergency Management Agency, sorry. Hillary Gack is currently a property maintenance inspector with the Wooddale Police Department. In 2020 is when she was hired and joined as a CSO. In 2022, she transitioned to the Property Maintenance Inspection Division. Hillary has always had a passion for emergency management, and over the years, she has educated herself with various aspects of emergency management and has offered her knowledge and skills to help the City of Wooddale during our special events planning. Tonight, she will receive a certificate of completion from FEMA presented by Kevin Sir, the Public Information Officer for Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security. Kevin?
Thanks. Do I want to speak here?
Sure.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kevin Sir. I'm the Public Information Officer with the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security. That's quite a big name for an agency that covers all kinds of disasters, emergencies, and any kind of crisis situation that happens throughout the state of Illinois. I am fortunate tonight to be able to present a couple of things. First off, not only do I work for the state of Illinois, I'm also a federal employee as well. So I'm also a public information officer with FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This puts me in a very interesting position because I know a lot about all these programs that we have, specifically the academy programs that are debuted, started a couple of years ago with FEMA. So I do want to talk a little bit about the significance of this program and why this is such a big thing nationally. Not only here in Illinois, but nationally, this is such a big program. The Academy Series was first identified years and years and years ago by FEMA, trying to figure out how best to be able to match any kind of disasters, emergencies, crisis-type situations. And these are for the natural hazards, right? Like tornadoes, hurricanes, flooding, avalanches, tsunamis, all the standard disasters of sorts that Godzilla tends to show up on. And there's a disaster, right? But it also encompasses man-made disasters. We have cyber attacks that are going on all the time. We have man-made and maybe even lone wolf-type active shooter situations. These are all situations that emergency management kind of backgrounds and helps kind of coordinate the efforts. It is truly to the effect of our local police, fire, and EMS that take care of the initial aspects of the emergency. However, behind the scenes, emergency management focuses on kind of coordinating all the efforts, making sure resources, personnel, apparatus, all these different things get to the scene. And of course, at the very end, documentation, and of course, who's going to pay for all this stuff. So that's a lot of what our job is behind the scenes. And it's a lot more complex than you would just think, right? Handle the disaster, everybody goes home, and we're all good. This program helps you outline a little bit about what needs to get done during a disaster, what happens in the timeline of, and of course, how to complete this successfully and go for that disaster declaration. Whether it's individual assistance, public assistance, hazard mitigation, all the big words that we use in government for funding and support and grant funding, these are the kind of programs we talked about very in detail in the class. Now, in Illinois, there are not very many graduates of this program. In fact, across the country, this is a fairly new program that was rolled out just a couple of years ago, and we're starting to see the fruits of our labor of teaching these classes. Individuals like Hillary were able to chance to take them to 5 different classes, and it's not just 1 hour or 2 hours online. We're talking legitimately weeks and weeks and weeks of classes. On top of that, there's also some homework too, which I'm sure all of you love doing. The take-home part allows us to see how each individual community excels in what they currently do and how prepared they are for emergencies. And Hillary is just a great example of how one community has prepared themselves just a little bit more than most other communities handling major disasters. And not only disasters, we're talking also about planned events. We have a couple of them coming up in the state of Illinois. We have this eclipse that's going on, and a couple of large-scale events happening in August around the United Center. These are all things that emergency management is the kind of the backbone, the crux, the coordination entity piece behind a lot of these disasters. So these 5 classes encompass the foundations of emergency management, all the disasters you could probably imagine, and maybe even some that we haven't even seen, including some things like lahars, some things like avalanches, even some things like space weather that affects a lot of our communications. We talk about the science of disasters in the second class, where we go down to the nitty-gritties of why a tornado shows up. All the fancy stuff, all the wind shear, all the hot and colds, all that sciencey stuff the National Weather Service talks about, we dove deep into those kinds of things and talked about why these things are happening and maybe even some impacts of possibly some climate change issues that are happening across the world. In the third class, we talk a lot about planning, which you folks here have a very robust planning section, ready to kind of think about what could happen and then maybe lay things out for everybody else in case a disaster happens. Part 4 is the Homeland Security Exercise Evaluation Program. This takes you through the whole training side and why we go through training and more training and more training, and then how to mitigate any kind of major challenges that come up during any disaster. And the 5th course, obviously my favorite, is the public information side, where we teach all the Academy graduates to go and speak in front of audiences, be able to be that face of calm and peace in case of an emergency or disaster. This comprehensive, gigantic program that we've issued here in Illinois and started out and championed by folks like Hillary for her communities have been a great hallmark of success. So much so that we see that this program, this certificate, is considered the standard of what an emergency manager should be across the country. This is not just for Illinois. This is not just for Wooddale. She can go anywhere and house this program. This is a nationally recognized program. So I'm very honored to be able to hang out because I've been with Hillary from the very start in this program. Like I helped teach her first class, and to start to see this grow and formulate and bring these kinds of things to a community like yours is actually very satisfying on my side, because this is why we all get into this kind of stuff. Whether you're a local or a county or state or federal, these are the moments that actually are markered in success for our careers. So that way we know to better our profession with individuals who are well credentialed and well certified to handle this type of situation. So on behalf of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, as well as the State of Illinois Emergency Management Agency and Office of Homeland Security, and everybody that has been part of this class, I'd like to present Hillary with a certificate of completion.
Did we meet her husband? How we supported her quite a bit?
Hold my hand, Peter.
Was down here? Yeah.
I'll start doing. I was gonna mess it up and say something. No, I've never.
We'll do 2 sets.
Yeah.
Right over Janelle's shoulder. No, I said, go right over your head.
Mayor and
Good job. I told her, I go, we had a few words. She's shy. Thank you, Hillary. Okay, next, city manager's report. Mr. Murmas.
Thank you. I have one item tonight, but I'm going to defer my item to the Chief of Police, Chief Zito.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. Please join us in welcoming our newest officer, Canine Cash. He's up here on the screen. Canine Cash comes to us from Project One Retrievers in Crown Point, Indiana. Project One Retrievers specializes in breeding high-quality Labrador Retrievers for explosive and narcotic detection for the U.S. military and police departments nationwide. Canine Cash is a 9-month-old purebred black lab. He is currently in Lake Geneva training, which is why he couldn't be here with us tonight. He's undergoing 10 weeks of intensive training with a trainer who has 17 years of experience training police and military working dogs. Canine Cash and his handler will then undergo a 4-week training course together to learn scent-specific tracking, narcotics detection, and obedience. We expect Canine Cash to be certified and fully operational back here in Wooddale sometime in June. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Murmas? Okay, we have nothing on the consent agenda this evening. Committee chairman reports. Alderman Catalano, Planning and Zoning.
Yes, I have one, Mayor. An ordinance approving the grant of special uses, variances, and site plan review concerning property located at 101 Mittel Drive in the city of Wooddale. That is my motion.
Second.
Who was the second on that? Randy? Alderman Woods? Art Woods.
Thank you. Just a few questions. Couple for the applicant and about 100 for staff. Just wanted to confirm a few things about the business and how it runs. So at the location here at 101 Middle, if I read the whole packet and went through it correctly, this facility will sell parts, do service on trucks, new and used. There's some question when I was looking at, I did some research on your website and looked at some of your other facilities. Is there going to be any body shop work being done at that facility?
Not at this one, no.
Excuse me. Could you,
I'm sorry.
Could you state your name first?
Yeah,
for the
yes.
record.
Eric Miner with CIT Trucks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's good. So is there any heavy, because you do, and it says you do insurance work and repair work, so that's accidents and frame straightening and welding. Is there going to be any of that taking place at that facility?
Go ahead, Mr. Miner.
No, there's not. We have 3 body shops in our network, but this will not be a body shop. Yeah.
Follow up?
Yeah, that was it. So I was, for staff, whoever wants to take that, just a couple.
Ms. Springer?
My question with the trees, when I look at the site plan, that we removed all the trees that were around both Middle Drive and looks like AEC Drive. So two questions. One, were those on public property or private property? And then B, why are we removing all the trees? I can see to remove some because they would want their sign to be seen. That makes sense to me. But well, what was the rationale behind taking out all the trees on both those streets?
Ms. Springer?
They're not taking out, well, they are taking out a number of trees, but really it's for, they're going to be planting more trees than they're taking out. So it's more to enhance the landscape for the site and the buffering.
Follow up?
Okay, well, I don't have a plan to see where the new trees are growing. I just see that the ones along two roadways, which to me don't make any sense why we would take those out, which taking them out triggers them planting more trees. That's my confusion.
Is that a question or just a
Well,
statement?
It is a question, but I don't think that there's a readily available answer to it, so.
Ms. Springer, go ahead.
Some of the vegetation that's being removed is because of some of the regrading that needs to happen in that open swale ditch and where they're going to be grading and removing the area north of the site where they're going to be putting detention.
So,
Follow up? Go ahead.
So follow up. So on that I get, that would be along Wooddale Road, but along AEC Drive, why would we be taking out those trees?
Ms. Springer?
Off the top of my head, the only thing that I can think of is they are widening the parking area just a little bit along AEC Drive, and they're also installing a new driveway there. So they will have to take out some of the landscaping for that.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't tell that from the information I had. So.
Any other questions?
Nope, that's it.
Roll call.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames?
Yes.
Alderman Currielli?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Artwoods?
No.
Alderman Artie Woods?
Yes.
And that passes, and welcome to Wooddale.
Oh, that's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Health and Safety, Alderman Currielli.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Jacob.
One report, approval of purchase of public works vehicles number 201-127 in an amount not to exceed $50,995.03. That is my motion.
Second?
Okay, we have motion and a second. Questions? Roll call.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderwoman Ames?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Currielli?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Artwoods?
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods?
Yes.
And that passes.
That is the end of my report.
Thank you. Finance Administration, Alderwoman Ames.
I have one report, Mayor, a resolution seeking to approve a 2-year agreement contract between the City of Wooddale and Fantasy Amusement Company for carnival services at Prairie Fest. That is my motion.
And we need subject to attorney final review. Is that okay with your motion?
Yes, it is.
Okay, then I need a second.
Second.
Any questions on this one? Alderman Woods.
Just one question. Is 2 years the longest we could get the contract for? And if so, was that our decision or their decision?
Good, Ms. Silva.
Thank you. We actually did request an extended, potentially even a 5-year agreement. They declined doing that since it's their first year with us and suggested maybe a 2-year would be better. And to that effect, our finance director actually said it might not be a good idea, depending on how sales would be, that a 5-year might put us in a bad position as well. So we're going to start with the 2 years, see how it goes. We're also hosting Prairie Fest 1 month earlier, so we suspect that our ride gross revenues will be a little higher anyway. So I think it's going to be a positive outcome no matter what, but both sides agreed that 2 years would probably be sufficient.
Alderman Messina, you had your hand up?
She answered it.
Okay.
Janelle answered it.
Alderman Artie Woods.
This was the company that's going to offer a mega pass for sure, right?
Ms. Silva.
Yes, thank you. I should clarify, the terminology that Fantasy Amusements are using is not mega passes. What they are going to do is offer, just like what we have done previously prior to COVID, a pre-sale unlimited wristband. So while it's not a mega pass, there is a cost savings because you're going to be purchasing in advance, not knowing what the weather will be like. So there is a little bit of a risk, but it'll be at a much more cost-saving value than had you bought an unlimited wristband the day of.
Follow up, go ahead.
But it is a 4-day pass for one cost.
Ms. Silva.
Thank you. No, it's not a 4-day pass. No amusements are doing that anymore. It's just not building enough revenue for them to bring the value for them equally.
So if I pick Friday and it rains, can I use it on Saturday?
No. So you could pre-sale, so purchasing it a month in advance essentially provides you, there is risk. We don't know what the weather will be like. That's never guaranteed. But there is a significant cost savings by doing that versus doing it that day.
Oof. Alderman Artie Woods, I'll let you continue. I'm sorry.
One more deep dive into it, is it, like last year we did 4-hour, 5-hour increments, is it for a full day at least?
I believe it is for, I'm sorry, Mayor. Yes, I believe it is for a full day. We have not determined the hours yet, but I'm happy to share that when we get that more in detail. So essentially there is a pre-sale, which you can purchase a month in advance. Then when you're there the actual day of, let's say maybe you purchased a pre-sale for several members of your family and now you have neighbors joining you, you can purchase an unlimited wristband that day. It just won't be as much of a cost savings.
Alderman Arwoods?
Where do I begin? So it's amazing that we pared it down to 1 day, so it's a 50-50 risk. It's a flip of a coin. Bad weather, you lose the day on a 4-day pass. If you get one bad day, you only lose 25% of the value. That's the risk. So this is, do we know what the savings would be? Is it a 50% savings? Is it worth the risk? Because if it's not, if it's $5,
Ms. Silva?
then it's almost ridiculous that we have it.
I should rewind a little bit too, just to give some context. When we were in the need of selecting a carnival, we were at the mercy of who was available. Fantasy Amusement comes very highly rated, probably one of the top in Illinois. When I connected with the Illinois Department of Revenue, who oversees the carnival and amusements permits, and informed them that we might be going with Fantasy, they did state that Fantasy was the top one in Illinois and that we would have success and no issues. So that was a top, I think, concern that I wanted to make sure we were choosing someone with a high success rate. That said, almost no carnival is providing significant discounts to families these days. It's just not happening. If it was something that we could negotiate a little further on, trust me, we would have. We were at the mercy of basically securing a carnival for our event.
Follow up? Follow up?
I'll let it go.
Alderman Messina?
Did our date impact that as well?
Ms. Silva?
By moving it up? Meaning we moved it up to end of June, right? So did that impact our ability to negotiate?
Not necessarily. Thank you. Sorry, Mayor. The impact to negotiate was essentially the reduction of weekends in the month of July for the next 2 years. So July for us was not an option. What we did find were several amusements that were providing services on several different dates, one of them being the last, two of them actually being the last date in June. Both really did not provide a lot of wiggle room for negotiation. Again, we were really at the mercy of potentially not having a carnival at all.
They were leading questions.
Go ahead, follow up.
They were leading questions. I think it was important to share that with the group, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Alderwoman Ames?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Curielli?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Artwoods?
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
And that passes.
That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. Nothing under other business. Approval list of bills. Alderwoman Ames.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the list of bills for February 1st, 2024 for $903,143.13.
That was your motion?
That is my motion, yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Alderman Catalano, do you have your hand up? No. Were there any questions? Roll call.
Alderwoman Ames.
Yes.
Alderman Currielli.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Jacob.
Yes.
Alderman Messina.
Yes.
Alderman Art Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Artie Woods.
Yes.
And that passes.
That concludes my report.
Thank you. We do need to adjourn into executive session for review of the minutes, land disposition, and pending litigation. Do I have a motion to adjourn into exec?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye, we're adjourned.